I used to think betrayal was something that happened to other people, the kind of stories you read online at 2 a.m., shaking your head and swearing you'd never put yourself in that situation. But then it happened to me, and it didn't come as one clean blow. It came in pieces, in overheard words and small slips, until the whole picture was so ugly I couldn't look away anymore. My name's Daniel. I'm 34, a veterinarian in Portland, Oregon. I run a clinic with 2 other doctors and a handful of techs. I'd built a decent life, nothing flashy, but steady. When I met Claire, I thought I'd finally found someone who wanted that kind of life with me. She was 29, finishing a graduate program in environmental sciences when we met. She walked into my clinic one rainy afternoon with her golden retriever, Scout, who'd gotten a nasty cut on his paw. Claire was soaked through, wearing a hoodie 3 sizes too big, and still managed to light up the exam room with her laugh. What should have been a 20-minute bandage and antibiotics turned into an hour of talking about the coast, hiking trails, and her obsession with marine biology. She told me she wanted to work on shark conservation someday. I didn't know much about sharks beyond the fact that they scared the hell out of me, but I listened like every word mattered. And after she left, I couldn't stop thinking about her. We started dating a few weeks later. Within 6 months, she moved into my place. I loved her energy. She was outgoing, full of plans, always texting friends or planning weekend trips. Compared to my quiet, work-heavy schedule, she was a spark I didn't know I needed. But with Claire came Jason. Jason was her best friend, a guy she'd known since college. They'd never dated, at least that's what she told me. But they were inseparable back then. He lived in Seattle now, working in tech, but they FaceTimed every week, sometimes multiple times. I tried not to let it bother me. I trusted Claire. And when Jason visited twice, I made an effort, grabbed beers with him, talked about basketball, even invited him to a Blazers game. He was polite, but there was this unspoken tension, like he was evaluating me, deciding whether I was good enough for her. Claire brushed it off, said he was just protective. I wanted to believe her. The truth is, I did believe her, until that Monday in April. Claire had been struggling to land a full-time position. She'd applied everywhere, universities, research institutes, nonprofits. Finally, she texted me in the middle of the day, "Got the job!" Official offer letter just came through. She'd been hired by a coastal research program she'd been dreaming about for years. I was so proud of her I could barely sit through my afternoon appointments. I rearranged my schedule, left the clinic early, and stopped on the way home to pick up her favorite Thai food, a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc, and flowers. I even grabbed a small necklace I'd hidden away months earlier, silver with a tiny shark charm because I knew she'd love it. I parked around the corner, came in through the basement entrance, and grabbed the necklace from the toolbox where I'd hidden it. I thought I'd sneak upstairs, surprise her with dinner and the gift. But when I reached the door at the top of the basement stairs, I froze. Her voice floated down, light and playful. She was on speakerphone. I knew the tone instantly. It was the one she reserved for Jason. "No, listen," she was saying, laughing. "He's amazing, really. But God, in bed, it's just not the same, not like you." I stopped breathing. Jason laughed, low and knowing. "Well, we always did have chemistry." Claire's giggle stabbed me like a knife. "Yeah, and sometimes I think about those nights and, it's unfair to compare. Dan's sweet, but you were unforgettable." The air around me went still, like the basement had turned into a vacuum. I pressed my palm against the doorframe, trying to steady myself. They weren't just joking. She was talking about actual nights, actual memories. Jason's voice came again, softer. "So when are you going to tell him?" Claire hesitated. "I don't know. He takes such good care of me, pays the bills, treats Scout like his own. I can't just blow that up right now, not when everything's finally stable." My stomach twisted. I wanted to believe I'd misheard, that she was talking about the past, before me. But then she said it. Besides, what he doesn't know won't hurt him. And it's not like we're sneaking around every week, just when we can, like last month in Seattle. I swear the world tilted under me. Last month, she'd told me she was visiting her cousin. I'd covered extra shifts that weekend so she could catch up with family. I backed down the stairs slowly, each step heavier than the last. My hand shook so hard I nearly dropped the necklace. For a moment, I thought I'd march upstairs, confront her right there, demand answers. But something in me wanted proof, something undeniable, because once the words left her mouth, there'd be no going back. I slipped out the side door, sat in my truck with the takeout cooling beside me, and stared at nothing. My phone buzzed with a text from her probably asking when I'd be home. I couldn't look. I couldn't even breathe. That night, I didn't go back. I checked into a cheap motel off the highway, the kind with buzzing neon and cigarette burns in the comforter. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every detail of the past 2 years. The trips, the jokes, the nights we made love, all of it twisted, poisoned by the sound of her voice comparing me to him. The next morning, I called my brother Aaron. He's 2 years older, married with kids. He's the one person I trust to give it to me straight. When I told him what I'd heard, he went silent for a long time. Dan, he said finally, you need to know for sure. Don't let her gaslight you into thinking you imagined it. Get the proof, then decide what to do. I hated the idea. Spying felt beneath me, but the thought of confronting her without anything solid, I couldn't risk it. She was too smart, too good at twisting words. So I did something I never thought I would. I started watching, checking her messages when she left her laptop open. Not every day, just enough, and what I found made me sick. Threads of late-night chats with Jason, jokes about me being too tired after long days at the clinic, references to hotels, weekends in Seattle, excuses she fed me. The worst was a photo, not explicit but intimate enough to confirm what my gut already knew. Jason kissing her cheek in a hotel room, her smiling into the camera like a woman with no shame. I saved everything. Screenshots, timestamps, even the hotel reservation confirmation she forgot to delete. It felt dirty, like I was building a case against someone I loved. But love had already left the room. All that was left was betrayal. For a week, I played along. I went home like normal, ate dinner with her, kissed her goodnight. She'd cuddle against me, laughing about work, and I'd lie there stiff as stone. I needed time. Time to figure out how to end it in a way that left no questions, no chances for her to paint me as the villain. That chance came sooner than I expected. One Friday, she told me she was heading to a girls' night with some coworkers to celebrate her new job. Something in her tone rang false. I checked her bag before she left. Tucked between her wallet and keys was lingerie I'd never seen before. I felt my pulse in my throat. This was it, the real-time proof. I waited 20 minutes after she left, then grabbed my keys and followed. She didn't go downtown where her coworkers usually met. She drove straight to a hotel near the airport. I parked across the street, heart pounding, and watched Jason step out of a rideshare grinning like he owned the night. They embraced like lovers, kissed, walked inside together. My vision went red. I wanted to storm in, drag her out by the arm, scream in his face. But I forced myself to wait, to breathe, to let the weight of truth settle until there was no way out for her. I gave them an hour. Then I walked in. Hotels always smell the same, industrial cleaner and other people's sleep. The lobby marble looked like it had been mopped 2 minutes before I stepped on it. A man in a blazer at the front desk said good evening with a trained smile. I said it back like my mouth remembered manners, my heart didn't. I didn't know their room number, but I knew the trick. I told the desk I'd left my wallet in my girlfriend's room and asked to be connected. Claire Weston, I said, hearing my voice sound steady and not recognizing it. The woman at the switchboard called up. 30 seconds later, she pointed me to the elevators, a small conspirator's nod like I'd passed a test. Room 1014. The elevator crawled. I watched the floor numbers flick up like they were trying to comfort me with counting. 10. The doors opened on a carpet the color of old wine. I walked down the hall and stood in front of 1014. I could hear them, muffled, laughing, a TV somewhere in the background playing the soft white noise of scripted happiness. I knocked. 3 firm taps. The last sensible thing I did that night. Claire's face appeared in the crack of the door first. The hinge side still latched. Her hair was up, cheekbones flushed like she'd been running. She saw me and all the color drained out in a heartbeat. For a second, everything on her face moved at once. Surprise, guilt, calculation. Then she forced a smile that asked me to play along. Dan, she said too brightly, what are you? Open the door, I said. Jason's voice floated from inside. Babe, who is it? Open the door, I repeated. People use your name like a fire extinguisher. They think it will put things out. I didn't give her that. She unlatched the chain and stepped back. The room was exactly what you'd expect. A king bed, half unmade, a desk with a room service menu folded like a tent, curtains drawn against a wealthier city outside. Jason stood near the bed in boxer briefs and a t-shirt like a man caught off guard in a commercial, hand going automatically to his hair as if vanity could reassert order. He had that same easy sunbro swagger he wore in person, except now it looked borrowed. "What the hell, man?" he said, jaw squaring up to a version of me he thought he could push around. I closed the door softly behind me and slid my phone out. The red record dot bloomed on the screen. "Don't worry," I said, my voice steady in a way that scared even me. "I'm not here to hit anyone. I'm here to end something with eyes open." Claire reached for my wrist. Dan, please, don't make a scene. We can talk about this like adults. Adults don't check into airport hotels under someone else's name, I said. Adults don't make jokes about their boyfriend to the man they're sleeping with. Adults don't use girls' night as a cover and pack lingerie I didn't buy. She flinched at that. Jason snorted, a small, mean sound. You've been going through her stuff? Real mature. You've been going through her, I said, and Jason took one step forward like he'd been waiting for that door to open. He was bigger than me by an inch or two and wider in the shoulders. I didn't move. That was the only power play I had, stillness. If I gave in to the tremor in my hands or the nausea that kept cresting in my belly, I'd be on the floor. I kept my phone up. Say it, I told Claire, eyes on her. Say what this is. Say how long. Say whether there were others before him or if it was just the one man you told me not to worry about. She wrapped the hotel robe tighter around herself and shook her head like she could shake the timeline out of it. It wasn't like that. Then tell me how it was, I said. Tell me why there are hotel receipts from last month under your Gmail's travel tab. Tell me why Jason texted you at 2 a.m. from a Seattle area code asking if you got home okay when you told me you were at your cousin's. Jason rolled his eyes. Jesus, dude. Relationships are complicated. Sometimes people find their way back to each other. You and Claire were never... That's when it happened. He touched me. It wasn't a punch, it was a shove, palm to my chest, the kind of move meant to slide you out of a room and down a hallway. Except I didn't slide. Not at first. The shove knocked my phone a fraction to the side and the image blurred. I staggered a half step, and in the tiny space where you decide who you are, I made a decision. I leaned back into my own balance and said, very calmly, "Don't touch me." He touched me again. The second shove had intent in it, a dare, a claim, something territorial. It was less about me and more about the choreography of men when women are watching. My right hand shot up on instinct, knocking his arm down. He came in, forehead lowered, like the start of a bad high school fight. For a heartbeat, the room filled with two different kinds of breathing. His, quick and performative. Mine, slow and precise, like I was explaining something to a frightened animal. Claire yelled, "Stop!" and grabbed at Jason's shoulder. The grab pulled him sideways, and his fist meant for my chest glanced my jaw. Not a knockout blow, enough to wring my teeth and light up my left ear. I didn't swing back. The only thing I hit was the nightstand when my hip clipped it. The lamp wobbled in outrage. Some part of me, and I will never be sorry for this, kept the phone up, the camera view wide. Because I knew how this would go in the retelling. I knew who I'd been asked to be. I decided not to be him. 2 raps on the door and a voice from the hallway. "Security." Claire froze. Jason stepped back and raked a hand through his hair again like he could comb away consequence. I set my phone, still recording, on the desk at an angle that took in the whole scene. Then I opened the door. The guard was mid-40s, forearms like rolling pins, eyes kind. He took one look at my cheek, then at Jason's stance, and sighed the sigh of a man who has broken up a version of this 400 times. "We got a noise complaint," he said. "Is everybody okay?" "I'm leaving," I said. "They'll be quiet." I turned back to Claire. "We're done. You'll get a text with pickup times. Don't come to the house without me there." "Dan," she said, reaching for me like you reach for a dream as you wake. I stepped back and her fingers closed on air. Jason smirked, and I swear it was more infuriating than the shove. "You gonna cry on your drive home?" he said under his breath. I looked at him the way you look at a dog that's cornered and forgotten. It's loved. "One day you'll figure out the difference between being chosen and being convenient," I said. "I hope you like the second one." The guard cleared his throat. "Sir, the elevators are this way." I picked up my phone, stopped the recording, and followed him out. I drove until the highway felt like it would run out. Past the river, past the mall, past the billboards telling me who to be. At a gas station, I pulled over and sat there with the engine off, both hands on the wheel. My cheek was throbbing, not from the glancing hit, but from the tension I'd been clenching it with. When I touched my jaw, my fingers came away clean. No blood. The hurt was mostly on the inside. I forwarded the video to my email and to Aaron. Then I called him. He answered on the first ring. "Tell me where." I told him. He didn't say, "I told you so." He didn't say anything about rage or revenge. He said, "I'm heading to your place. We'll box her things tonight." By the time I reached the house, he was in my driveway with 2 pizzas, a Sharpie, and a roll of heavy-duty tape. He hugged me in a way men excuse as brother stuff, and then got to work, like grief was a room that could be cleaned if you made enough piles. We packed everything that was clearly hers: the stack of oceanography journals, the framed photo of her and Scout on the coast, the succulent she always forgot to water. In the bedroom, I pulled open the nightstand and found a handful of tiny, ordinary betrayals: old ferry tickets, a hotel pen, a lipstick rolled to a nub in a brand I'd never seen her wear for me. I put them on top of the clothes she'd left thrown over the chair that morning. The domesticity of it almost broke me, the way the same hands can make a bed and unmake a life. "Locks," Aaron said gently. "I'll change them tomorrow," I said. "Change them now," he said. "Tonight is honest, tomorrow is tidy. Honest comes first." So we did. While I unscrewed plates and swapped tumblers, Aaron carried boxes to the garage. At midnight, I texted Claire. "Your things are in the garage by the side door. You can pick them up tomorrow between 10 to 12 with someone present. Do not come inside. Return keys and garage fob at pickup. After that, access codes will be changed. .hs." She read it, the little dots pulsing, then stopped. A minute later, "Please, can we talk? You embarrassed me. Jason is furious. You don't have to be cruel." I typed 3 different replies and deleted them all. Then I wrote, "We'll talk Saturday at 3 p.m. at Marigold Cafe, public place. Bring my key." No hearts, no apologies. She wrote back, "Fine." Then, almost as an afterthought, "Are you going to tell people?" "Only what's true," I wrote. Then I put my phone face down and slept 3 hours I don't remember. Saturday was bright in the way Portland isn't supposed to be. The cafe was full of couples dividing pastries with knives like treaties. Claire arrived 5 minutes late in a dress I'd loved on her once. She looked tired and furious, a combination I didn't know could live in the same face. She sat. "You ambushed me at a hotel," she said without hello. "Do you have any idea how humiliating that was?" "You were humiliated by your choices," I said. "I happened to be there when they were visible." Her eyes flashed. "So what? You're what, moral now? You went through my bag? My email? My private life?" "Your private life was being conducted in our shared one," I said. "Sometimes the only way to know you aren't crazy is to check the math." She exhaled through her nose like a bull deciding whether to charge. Then she deflated a little, the anger sliding sideways into something that, if I squinted, looked like shame. "I'm sorry," she said, soft and fast, as if speed could make it count. "Okay, I'm sorry. I screwed up. I got scared." Things with the job were unstable, and Jason was a comfort. You work all the time. You come home and your head is still in the clinic. I felt alone. He was there. It wasn't supposed to be. She gestured vaguely, as if the size of it could be drawn with a hand. "An affair?" I supplied. "Claire, you chose a man who used to be yours and made him your emergency exit. You didn't get lost. You took a map." Her jaw tightened. "I didn't cheat on you to hurt you." "You cheated on me because it felt good in the moment," I said, "and because you thought I wouldn't leave. That's the part you don't want to say out loud." She looked at the table. I almost felt bad and then didn't. She slid my key and the fob across the surface. I pocketed them like a man accepting evidence. "Please don't ruin my reputation at work," she said suddenly. "You know what it's like to be the woman who got a job and then lost it because her ex told everyone she slept with someone. People will think it was a quid pro quo. You will hurt me in ways you can't take back." "I'm not emailing your boss," I said. "I'm not posting screenshots. I'm not interested in torching your life. I'm interested in getting mine back." She nodded once, quickly, not relief so much as surprise. Then she leaned in. "Then don't you dare tell our friends some twisted version where you're a saint," she whispered. "You were distant. You chose your dogs and your clients and your clinic over me 100 times. I needed someone to make me feel wanted. I made a mistake because you left a gap." If there is one thing cheaters are good at, it's finding the sentence that sounds like a reason and pretending it is one. I could have argued point for point. I could have told her how many times I left my own bed at 2 in the morning to help a client sit with a dying pet because compassion doesn't keep business hours. I could have reminded her of the mortgage I paid so she could finish her applications, of the groceries, of the quiet ways I thought love looked in real life. Instead, I said, "If I left a gap, I wish you'd filled it with a conversation." We sat there and watched the coffee grow cold, the way anything neglected does. When the silence had told us everything we didn't have the courage to say, I pushed a small padded envelope across the table. She looked at it like it might explode. "What is it?" she asked. "The shark necklace," I said. "I bought it when things were simpler. I was going to give it to you when you got the offer. It doesn't belong in my house. Do whatever you want with it. Keep it, sell it, throw it in the river. I don't want it to feel like a hostage." Her mouth trembled. She didn't open it. "What happens now?" she asked. Now you pick up your boxes, I said. Now we divide bills and sign whatever we have to sign to unspool the life we braided together. Now we don't talk unless it's logistics. And now you don't come to my house without asking. She stared at me like I was someone she'd met in a different lifetime. And Jason? What about him? Are you going to tell him to stay away from you? He's angry. He said you made him look like a fool. I actually laughed. It came out raw. He did that on his own, I said. Tell him if he puts his hands on me again, the next time there will be a police report instead of a security incident. Tell him I'm done being in rooms where I'm the only person who thinks respect matters. She stood. We both hesitated, reflexes reaching for a hug neither of us could justify. Then she turned and left, the bell over the cafe door chiming like a grace note for a prayer nobody said. The next week was administrative grief. It's the part no one writes about because it's boring and terrible and necessary. I called the bank. I closed the joint credit card we'd opened for groceries and gas. I changed the passwords she might have known, utilities, streaming services, the account where we ordered dog food in bulk. I texted her the final electric bill with a percentage breakdown and waited for the got it that came 3 hours later with a single thumbs up emoji. Interactions shrink to icons when you're done being people. I told 3 friends the short version, then let them tell other people whatever they wanted. Hannah from her running club cornered me at the clinic with Scout's paw check and whispered, "I'm sorry," like a secret. She didn't ask for details. I liked her for that. One night, around 11, I heard the scrape of the side gate. The sound is nothing to anyone who doesn't know it. I knew it. I turned on the porch light, and there she was, hand on the gate latch like she was deciding whether to pretend she'd been invited. "You need something?" I asked through the screen door. "I left my field notebook," she said, hands deep in her jacket pockets like that could hide how they shook. "From last semester, it has data I need." "It's in box 7, I said. "Garage, I'll bring it out." When I came back with the box, she was off the porch like I was contagious. I set the box down and kept the door between us like a boundary I could see. "Dan," she said in a smaller voice, "did you ever love me the way I thought you did?" "Yes," I said, "and I loved the person I thought you were." She nodded like that was a fair split and left with the box like it weighed more than paper. I changed the alarm code that night. The fight scene in the hotel became a story in our circle anyway, the way any gossip with a camera does. I didn't post it, but I kept the video in a folder called If I Ever Doubt. Twice that month I watched the first 30 seconds until I could remember how my voice sounded when I decided not to be the man who hits back. It's not virtue, it's a skill. I'm still learning it. Jason texted me exactly once from a number I didn't recognize. "You ever pull a stunt like that again and I'll make sure you regret it." I replied, "This number is now saved with your name under evidence. Don't contact me." He didn't. Claire's apology came a week later in the form of a letter. Real paper, cursive, that sloped to the right like she couldn't help but lean into things. She wrote that she was sorry for how it happened, not sorry that it did. She wrote that she had felt unseen, that Jason made her feel like the version of herself she liked better. She wrote that she was done with him, that the hotel had shown her a mirror she didn't like. She wrote that she wanted to try couples counseling. She wrote that she loved me, she did, she always had, and she'd forgotten how to shoe is, he did, she always had, and she'd forgotten how to show it. I brought the letter to therapy. I hadn't planned on therapy again. I'd stopped after my dad's funeral because the grief had been replaced with a steadier kind. But I booked an appointment with Dr. Alvarez, a woman who has the kind of voice that makes you want to tell the truth even when it's hard. I took the afternoon off. I sat on her soft gray couch and handed her the letter like a confession. "What do you want to do with it?" she asked. "I want to be the kind of man who forgives," I said. "I want to be the kind of man who doesn't set himself on fire to keep someone else warm. I want both, and I can't have both." She nodded. "What does forgiveness look like if it doesn't include reconciliation?" "It looks like not mailing her boss the video," I said. "It looks like not turning her friends against her. It looks like wishing her well when I can, and wishing her nothing when I can't. It looks like leaving the door closed but the lights on inside me." She smiled at that, the small, proud smile therapists give you when you build a sentence you can live in. "Then maybe you already know," she said. I left her office lighter in a way that had nothing to do with the weather. You think the climax is the confrontation, or the letter, or the moment you choose the locks over the promises. Sometimes the real climax is quieter. The first night you sleep through without dreaming, you're knocking on a hotel door that never opens. Mine came on a Tuesday. I woke up and the light in the room felt like it had decided I was allowed to have a morning again. I stood in the kitchen and made coffee and didn't taste metal. I packed Scout's old bandage kit into a donation bag for the rescue clinic downtown and left the envelope with the shark necklace on top. Then I put the bag in my truck. That afternoon, I drove to the coast. No dramatic reason. I needed a sky that wasn't the one above my block. I walked a mile of beach and watched the dogs living their best thesis statements in the sand. I sat on a log until the sun slid toward the water and the wind made my eyes water so I could pretend I wasn't crying. On the way home, I stopped at a roadside stand and bought a carved piece of driftwood shaped like a wave. The woman who sold it to me said, "It looks like motion even when it's not." I put it on my mantle to remind myself that stillness is not the same as stuck. 2 months after the hotel, I saw Jason again by accident. I was leaving a Blazers game with Aaron and his oldest, who was 9 and believed the halftime show was better than the sport. Jason was in line for beers with a friend, laughing, head back. He didn't see me until we were 3 people away. When he did, something tightened in his face, the same old calculations, the same old mirror. He took a step as if to block the line like I was trying to pass him on a narrow trail. I stopped 3 feet short. I didn't want to talk. But men like Jason need shows of dominance to understand a language. So I did what I hate, once, on my terms. "I'm glad you're okay," I said. "I'm not here for you. You and I don't live in the same story anymore. Keep it that way." He opened his mouth, then closed it like he'd lost his place. A woman behind me said, "Are you in line?" And I moved past him, bought a Sprite for the kid, and walked away. It wasn't brave. It was enough. A week later, Claire texted me a photo of Scout at the beach. "He misses you," she wrote. "I do too. For what it's worth, I'm in therapy." I stared at the photo a long time. Scout looked like Joy with fur on. I typed and erased 3 different responses. Then I sent, "Take good care of him. Of you too." I didn't block her number. I didn't pin it either. People like tidy endings. They want the narrator to meet someone new, to get a promotion, to run a marathon out of nowhere. I don't have that for you. I have smaller victories. I count like smooth stones in a pocket. I stopped checking her social media. I changed the paint in the bedroom. I learned how to make shakshuka because I saw a video and it looked like something that could make a morning feel important. I kept the clinic running. We saved a greyhound who came in skin and bones and left with hips like sculpture. I told 3 new clients they were doing a good job and watched their faces unfold like flowers when they believed me. I answered a text from a friend at midnight not because I'm a superhero, but because sometimes you are the person with a flashlight. One Sunday, I drove out to the same stretch of coast Claire and I used to visit, not to relive anything, but to prove to myself that time isn't a thief, it's a tailor. It doesn't take, it alters. I sat with my back against a rock and watched a toddler negotiate with a gull about crackers and thought, "Oh, this is what it means to have a life again." On the way home, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. It was the hotel security office. The guard from that night had filed an incident note. A manager was following up because another complaint mentioned a domestic disturbance on the 10th floor. They wanted to know if I needed a copy of the report. "Yes," I said, surprised at how much I did. "Email it." When it arrived, I printed it and slipped it into the folder with the video labeled, "If I Ever Doubt." Then I put the folder in a drawer I rarely open. That night, I slept without touching the drawer once. Here is the part I wish someone had told me when I was the guy in the basement with the shark necklace and a bag of Thai food cooling on the passenger seat. The story does not end with you catching them. It doesn't end with the fight you didn't throw or the lock you changed. It ends the first time you choose dignity so quietly that no one notices but you. The first time you don't write the long text. The first time you don't check the tag on someone else's happiness to see if your name is on it. The first time you are more curious about tomorrow than about yesterday's evidence. Claire will be fine, maybe better than fine. She will collect shells of all the versions of herself. The world hands back and makes something out of them. Maybe Jason will be in it, maybe he won't. If he is, they will earn each other. If he isn't, she will find someone else who laughs at the right parts of her stories. It doesn't matter, not to me. I will be fine too. I think the word is okay, but not the flat kind you say to end a conversation. The good kind, where okay is a room with windows. I will walk Scout when she asks and when I want to because he is an innocent in all this. I will answer when old friends ask if I want to grab a beer and say yes more than I say no. I will continue to keep a small emergency kit in my truck because that is who I am, a man who believes pain can be lessened with foresight and tenderness. I will try not to make a joke at anyone's expense just to see if a room will love me more for it. If you are reading this in the middle of your own hotel hallway, here is my advice from the other side. Knock if you must. Film if you need to. Don't swing first. Leave anyway. Change the locks before you change the story you tell yourself about what you deserve. And if a man shoves you because he thinks the past has made a claim on your present, know this: you are not a door. You do not move just because someone expects you to. A month after the last text, Aaron invited me to a backyard barbecue. I brought potato salad and a crooked grin. His daughter asked if I wanted to help her learn to ride without training wheels. I said yes. We spent 20 minutes in the cul-de-sac, my hand on the small of her back, my jog becoming a run, her wobble becoming a line. There is always a moment where you let go and hope momentum does what love cannot. She went 15 feet without me and turned her head to look, triumphant, and of course that made her tip. She skinned her knee and looked up at me like I'd betrayed her by letting go. "You did it," I said, kneeling. 15 feet. Next time, 20. She sniffed once and smiled, brave in the way kids are when they realize the ground won't always catch them, but their people will. That night, I drove home under a sky so clear it felt like a new language. I unlocked my front door with a code no one else knew. I turned on the porch light and it lit up the driftwood wave like a promise. I stood there for a second and said it out loud to a room that now answered only to me: I did the right thing. Then I did the dishes. Then I took a long, hot shower. Then I went to bed and didn't dream of hallways. Tomorrow there will be more dogs. There will be coffee and paperwork and owners who cry when you tell them the thing their heart already knows. There will be sunsets I do not earn and sunrises I do not deserve, and in between them a life I am starting to like on purpose. There will be silence that doesn't scare me. There will be a man who knows that jokes are easy and tenderness is rare. I want the rare thing. I will wait for it. And if you're still wondering about the fight, here's the postscript you might be hungry for. 2 weeks after the hotel, Jason posted a story of himself at a gym, captioned with something forgettable about discipline. Someone replied, and he reshared it with a song that made him feel hard. I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't take the bait. But I did run my hand once along the barely visible yellowing bruise on my jaw and think, that's not what I'm going to remember when I'm old. I'm going to remember the guard at the door who looked at my face and believed me without my having to explain. I'm going to remember Aaron in my driveway with a Sharpie and pizza-like grief had a user manual. I'm going to remember the feel of Scout's fur under my hand the first time I saw him after everything, and the way he pressed into my leg like animals do when they know. I'm going to remember the soft click of a newly changed lock at midnight and how it sounded exactly like the word enough. And when I need to, I'll open the drawer with the folder marked "If I Ever Doubt," and I'll look at the man in the camera frame holding a phone with both hands like a lantern, and I'll recognize him. Not a victim, not a hero, just a man who walked into a room, told the truth, and then walked back out again with his dignity intact. That's the end of the story, or, more honestly, that's where this chapter turns the page.